It's 2025, and the message that I have today is very important because people are struggling every day with this same issue. They just continue to feel as if you're stuck, you can't get out, or you don't know where to go, right? But when you're in the darkness and God tells you that you are the lamp, you are the light of the earth, and even though you might not know what way to go, but all you know is that you could take the first step in front of you. Now let's get to the next episode. Yo, what is good, everybody, man? Hopefully everybody's feeling loved and blessed. As always, bruh. Today, we're going to be talking about giving ourselves space in 2025. Because your blessings simply are not here or over there or over there. They're not in a different country. You might think that your soulmate is over here, that you're meant to be living out there. But let me tell you something. When it comes to blessings, God knows where to find you. You ain't never got to find God. You don't never got to rush to God. You ain't never got to figure out where God at. Because God said he never left you. He never forsaked you. That he knows the plans that he has for you. That he wants to put you in the right directions. That if you ask him, that you shall receive. That if you knock, the door shall be opened, right? And we have to be able to give ourselves space in 2025. Give ourselves opportunity and time to grow, to go through the tests, to go through the trials, to gain the endurance. That when you realize that when it clicks in your mind, how simple it is that life is fleeting, that life isn't about you trying to do everything in it, is that the sacrifices that you make to live a good life, to live a steady life, to live a consistent life, that's what true peace and happiness is, right? That's what success to me is. It's not money, it's not anything like that. It's simply being consistent, being steady. Because nothing in life is steady. Things happen, things start, and things end, right? But with God, he's always there. He's eternal. So if you want to be eternal, right? You want your legacy to be eternal. You want things to be eternal, your peace and your kindness and your love and your joy for people to remember for generations on. You got to be able to give yourself space. Because you got to find that balance in between working hard, which is good, grind, work hard, but at the same time, know that even being still can go along with that. You can work hard every day at your job and to do things like that and not have the job that you want, but you still work hard at that job. You might not have the family or the intellect or maybe the relationship that you want within your families right now, but who's to say that y'all can't work on that, right? That you're working hard, and you're being consistent, but at the same time, you're being still. That you're being consistent at what you're doing at that time. That God isn't looking for you to jump to new jobs every 6 months. That God isn't looking for you to jump at new opportunities every 6 months, every year. A new car. You have to have a new car every year, every whatever, man. Like whatever you have to have, God is not looking for what you have to have at this moment in time and what you're doing. Right? So don't stress yourself out. People get so depressed and so anxious because you have to do it in a certain amount of time. Or you have to do things for a certain reason. Or you have to do things because you feel like you're going to be a certain person. But we have to be able to be slow and give yourself space. Give yourself the opportunity to grow, right? God doesn't want you to just give us whatever we want in life. Because sometimes we can even screw it up. It can end up being a curse. It can be used by the enemy if you're not strong enough for it, if you didn't grow enough for it, and God's like, here, just take it. It can be overwhelming even for you. In Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1, it says, for everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. Nothing to God is a challenge because God made challenge, right? But To say that we are made in the image of God, that we were fearfully made, that God knew us before we were even in our mother's womb, that God knew us before we were even a cellular organism, before our parents even thought about us, even having kids. Like right now, at one point, you was 12, 15, when you have kids in life, or whatever the case may be, when you have a family in life, you never thought about who that person was going to be at some point in time. God already knew who you was going to be before all that. In the beginning of time, God knew who he was going to be. So we was made in his image. We were already going to be eternal. Not from our flesh, though, with our spirits. So whenever you get the resources and how we use those resources and how we use those blessings, that's what's going to get us the generations on. That's what's going to get us farther ahead. To be steady with those blessings, to be consistent with those blessings, and to be grateful for those blessings, right? In Psalms chapter 139, verses 13 through 16, catch this because it's very strong. This is a very powerful verse. Verses, for you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. He already knew what your purpose was going to be, right? I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well, right? My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in a secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. God already knew your page zero. God already knew who you was going to be, your purpose. You think because you interested in cars, that's a coincidence? No. You think because that you're interested in the word now, that at one point you grew up not being in the word, which I was. I didn't grow up being in the word. I didn't grow up going to church. And now that I am, I think that's a coincidence? No, it's not. Do you think that someone might have passed in your family, that you lost that job, that you lost the opportunity, and now that I tore my Achilles, and now that I'm doing what I'm doing now, do I think that's a coincidence? No, I don't. At one point, maybe, but then now that I started to see further and know what God's plan was for me, I realized that there's no such thing as a coincidence, that God wants me exactly where I am, and he came to find me. He came to put me in this position. I didn't get to be in this position because I went and did all these things and went here and there. That wasn't the case. God put me there. God knew I was going to be there. God knew from the beginning, way, way, way before he even created earth and our beings in the universe. He knew where we was going to be. So the time that we spend here on earth is a mission that God put inside of us. He put that inside of us. That was bred inside of us. God already knew everything. God already knew the purpose that we were going to have. God already knew what he was going to put inside of us and what we were going to be interested in and what we were going to be able to serve in that, because that's what he needed us to do. So there's no such thing as coincidences, but you have to believe that God already had the plan for you, and everything that you do, your purpose now, and every step that you take, every decision that you make, every mistake that you make, don't let it defeat you. Let it build you up, because that's what God wanted for you. And to put that into your place, to put that into your position, and I'm not even trying to preach, but it's just to say that God already knew. But if you give yourself space in 2025, you give yourself space on today to understand, to get that warm feeling of understanding, and that warm feeling of being consistent, that warm feeling of being within God's presence. That's all you needed. That whenever God wants to bless you, he gonna find a way to bless you. You ain't gotta go to the blessing. He gonna give the blessing to you right into your lap. You ain't gotta ask for it. He gonna do it for you, because it's to the time that he sees fit for you. So give yourself space in this 2025, man. But I appreciate y'all, bro. Everything can change tomorrow. You just gotta believe it. Like, share, subscribe this message, man. And I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one.